Right, in order to download Python right now from the Python.org website, you can click on downloads. Right, then you can see based on the version you are using right now. You can now, since I'm using a Windows computer, then it shows me download the latest version for Windows, and then if you want, you can, if it is a Mac OS, you can click on this. If it is a Linux based, yes, you can click on Linux or Unix. Right, now you can see that the latest version for Windows, it says 3.12.4. Right, now even though you can see the previous releases also listed here, you could download. Right now the previous versions, you can see 3.10.9. Likewise, you can see the latest version is 3.12.4. 3.12.4. You can click on download, and when you click on download, like now here, you will see it is around 25 megabytes, and then it will get downloaded to your computer, and thereafter you can install it. Right. Just a minute. Okay, meantime, if you are not installed Python, you can download it, and thereafter we can install it. I am just uninstalling the version I had. Previously, it was 3.12.1. Right now, the latest version is 3.12.4. Right now, once you download, you will see that would be available on your downloads folder or where your default download location. Right, then you can open it. When you double click on the downloaded exe file, uh, you will ask to you will get this kind of window. There, make sure you add python.exe to path variable. There's a variable called path in Windows, environmental variable, and then we need to update the path variable in order to the python.exe. Right, then you can select where you want to install it. If you want to install it to a customize, that means a custom place, then you can click on customize installation, and then you can install it. I recommend you to go with the install now. Now this will install into the Windows C inside the locally folders. Right, then here this is where I'm going to install it. Right, then you just have to click on the install now. That's it. And it will take a little while to install. Right, once you install the Python right now, once this completes, just open the command prompt, and then we'll check whether this has been installed properly or not. Right, Python install. Now let's open the command prompt, and then let's type the path variable and see what's there in the path variable. Now these are the paths of the whatever the installs you have done already. Right now you can see here. This was the previous one, 312. Right now, you can see right when you type Python here. If you type py, it will show you that if the Python is installed, it would display like this. That means the Python interpreter executed. Right now, this is the prompt will change to like this. Now this will be the Python interpreter. Right now, just try out this whether you can, if you just type the path variable, you will be able to see like this. We have installed inside the local folder inside the user app data local programs. There we have installed. Then here you can see this is where we have the Python interpreter. And then here we can now invoke the Python interpreter. In order to invoke the Python interpreter, just type py in the command prompt. Then it would open the interpreter. And also when you install the Python IDE, the default IDE also will be installed. Then if you just type search for IDLE, then you will be able to run this as well. Right now, this is the Python IDE. In order to try Python codes, write the same thing, write the same console you can see here. Right now, this is from the command prompt we are using the Python IDE, Python console. Here, there's a separate application called IDLE shell where you can try out the shell commands here. Therefore, now I'm working with the command prompt. Therefore, if you want, you can work with the IDLE shell as well. Right. Then right now this Python is right now once you install the Python, like you can see the it displays the version as well 3.12.4. That's the version we installed, right? And then if you want to check whether this is working right now, in order to exit from this, you can type Control Z. It will ex it will make take you to the console. That means it will exit from the Python and then it will take you to the command prompt. And then if you here, if you type 2 plus 3, won't give you any answer, right? In the command prompt, it won't give you any answer if you just type 2 plus 3 likewise. But if you're using Python interpreter, it is interactive. Therefore, if you type 2 plus 3, then it will give you the answer. 2 plus 3 is 5. Then if you say 2 into 5, likewise, you can do some, like it's interactive. You can, whatever the command you type, it will work with that. Let's say now, if you say print hello, then that would display hello. Likewise, it would work accordingly. Right now, this is how we can work with the Python interpreter. Okay, I make sure. Please make sure that you have installed the Python interpreter, and then let me know. Then we can start with the today's work. Right here, and open the Notepad as well. Here we'll be working with the Notepad, and then we'll write all the Python scripts using the Notepad. Right, you can use any text editor tool for that. Like I'll be using a Notepad since it is easier, and thereafter we can work with the command prompt and the text editor. Right. Have you all installed this? Are you okay with it? Shall we proceed?
Yes.
Right, good. Right. Then, right now, before I start anything, I want to ask some questions, right? Now try to Google it. Oh, I don't know. Ask from ChatGPT or anything, and then get the answers for these. Right now, the question is, what's the difference between a low level versus high level language? Because we need to know what is the low level and what is high level languages. We are talking about the language. What is a low level language? What is a high level language? And then I want to know what is a source code? And is the code written by using a programming language such as Java or Python? Let's say, can can the process, can it understand, can it readable by the processor? Will it be readable to the processor? Right. Is the processor can read the codes we have written using a programming language? If yes, okay, how explain? If not, what are the workarounds in order to processor to understand it? And what is okay? Now we need to know about low level. What is a compiler and what is an interpreter? Yeah, I want to know the answers for these first. Okay, quickly find out and tell me. If you want, if you are done with the answers, you can send it to me via chat. Right? Okay, what is a low level language and what is a high level language? Yes, tell me. A low level versus high level. Okay, what is a low level language? Low level languages are machine friendly and therefore difficult for humans to understand, whereas high level language is human friendly and easy to understand. Okay. Right, what else we have? Machine understand all your languages the best, while higher language is understand by humans. Right, okay. Right. Then, yes, if you talk about the user friendliness, yes. Now, because the machine languages, oh, sorry, the low level languages are very closer to the computer hardware oriented languages. That means right now you can say now that is closer to the machines or the hardware. Right. Okay, thank you for your answers. And then yes, okay. Then most of the low level languages are machine oriented. That means the code is written only for specific type of processor. Then most of the low level languages are not portable. That means it only works on the exact processor type or exact hardware. Since it is written only for exact or specific type of processors or hardware, then it's efficient because uh, it uses very less memory, and then in the speed wise it's very efficient. Right now, machine languages, you may have heard about machine language, machine code. Yes, the basic level of lower level code or the programming language you can call as the machine code, right? Which is consisting with binaries, zeros and ones. Therefore, a machine language is a lower level language. And also, as one of you sent the answer as assembly language, yes, assembly language also considered as a low level language. Right now, high level languages. Right now, Python is a high level language. Right now, that is what you call it as a human friendly or user friendly, like human friendly, because it is more abstract and closer to human languages. Like basically, it is more similar to the English language, right? Written using English language and with some program syntaxes. Therefore, human friendly. And then portable. Portable in the sense now, most of the programs written using high-level languages works across the different hardwares, different operating systems, or sometimes without any changes, right? It works with any computer with any operating system. And high-level languages are user-friendly, right? Then, yes, then Python, we can say Python is a high-level language, right? Then, we can say like a Java is a high level language. Right now we call it a Java as a platform independent because Java works with Java virtual machines and so on. And then as you one of you said you have done C sharp. Yes, right now those also. Right. Then remember when it comes to low level languages, you should remember that is more machine friendly and which is high efficient and which is machine friendly or machine specific. If it is high level languages, human friendly because it's readable and it's portable and it's human friendly. Right. Therefore, that's the answer for this one. What is the source code? What is the source code? The source code is a group of instructions a programmer. I think you don't see these answers, no? Okay, now these are the answers sent by view of you. Source code is a group of instructions a programmer writes using programming language. Yes. Now, using any programming language, whatever the code you write, you call as a source code. Can the right now this is the source code? No, the source code cannot readable by the processor. The source code cannot understand by the processor. Therefore, we need to convert that into a machine readable code. Machine readable code. In order to do that, we use some converters or source code converts to a machine readable code. Then for that, we'll be using compilers or interpreters or assemblers, we say. Right now, I want to know what is a compiler and what is an interpreter. Okay, figure out and tell me quickly. Compiler versus interpreter. What are the differences? What are the main differences of compiler and the interpreter? Those who know already, or you can just search. Yes, the answers, please. Okay, now I will tell you that the compiler and the interpreter. Right now I have just gave you a brief idea that now the code we are writing using the Python language, because Python is a high-level language, therefore it is human friendly. Right, that means we are more into like using English language, more similar to English language. We write, and then with some syntaxes. Now there are Python rules and regulations that we have to follow. With the programming syntaxes, we write the code, and that code we write, we call it as a source code. And the source code is cannot readable by the processor itself or the hardware in our computer. Therefore, that we need to convert or the translate the code. For that, we could use translators or translator. translation. Right now, in order to translate a code written using high-level language into a machine code, the code written using high-level language to a machine code, we could use a compiler or an interpreter. Right? Basically, compilers and interpreters are both used to translate high-level programming languages into machine code which a computer can understand or execute. Therefore, some programming languages use both compiler and the interpreter, and some uses only the compiler. Some uses interpreter like. Therefore, remember, and the compiler and the interpreters are totally different, and the way it works is totally different. And the main purpose of compiler and interpreter is to translate the code written using high-level language to a machine readable or machine executable or the computer processor executable machine code. The main requirement or main purpose of the compiler and the interpreter is to convert the code written using high-level programming language to a machine code which can be executed by the computer processor. All right. Now, compiler. Compiler, like basically Java uses a compiler. And compiler translate the entire program at once. Therefore, once you finish the code, it translates the entire program at once. All the lines of the code will get translated at once, the compile. Right. And since it is translated the entire program at once, it is faster when you execute. And also the errors, because we convert the entire program at once. If there is any error, that would be detected, and that will identified at the compiling. Therefore, we call it as compiler time errors. Right. And most of the time, the compilers create an executable file. Compilers will create executable files. Right? Right. Then when it comes to a C program, C uses a compiler. C++ uses a compiler. And Java uses both compiler and the interpreter. Right. Right. Then, okay, interpreter. Now, we said that compiler compile the entire code at once. Then interpreter. Interpreter interpret line by line. Even though there are errors in the, let's say in line number 5, there is an error, but it will interpret up to line number 4. Therefore, interpreter interpret the high-level language or the high-level code into machine code line by line or statement by statement and execute it. Therefore, interpreter interpret line by line where the compiler translate all the code at once. Alright, since the interpreter interpret line by line and it is slower than the compiler because compiler translate the entire program at once, no? And therefore the compiler, since we compile at once before we run it, all the errors, whatever the compiler time errors can be identified. But since interpreter interpret line by line, therefore errors will be detected at the runtime. Errors will be detected at the runtime. Right. Now that is the difference between compiler and the interpreter. Therefore, we can say compiler translate the entire code at once and may create an executable file. It is faster and it detects the errors at the compiler time. Then the interpreter translates and executes code line by line or statement by statement. Therefore, no separate executable files, slow execution compared to compiler. and errors detected during the runtime. Errors will be detected during the runtime. Therefore, keep that in your mind now. Right now, I'm going into some basics of Python 3. Right? Yes.
Which one we are going to use, the compiler or the interpreted one?
The Python uses interpreter.
Interpreter,
Python
right?
use interpreter, yes. And
Line by line.
yes, line by line we get executed. And for an example, Java, if you say Java, Java uses both compiler and the interpreter.
Right, okay.
Java uses both compiler and the interpreter. And if you take C programming language, C, and that uses GCC compiler, right? That's a compiler. Here in Python, it uses a interpreter. That means we'll interpret line by line. Not we, the Python interpreter will interpret line by line. Right. Then this is the high level language, Python. And it is a general purpose, interpreted, interactive, and also when you talk about the programming languages, some might ask whether is it object-oriented programming. Yes, Python supports for object-oriented concepts, and Python is a high-level programming language. That means user-friendly, human-readable language. And this is the Python is not named because of the snake. It is named as Python after the TV show called Monty Python's Flying Circus, right? And thereafter, the major changes to Python code is after Python 3.0 was released. That means in 2008. Therefore, the previously the Python 2.7, like we had previous versions, most of them are backward incompatible after Python 3.0 release. Therefore, now we are learning Python 3, right? And therefore, Python 3.0 is supposed to be backward incompatible. Therefore, its important features have been backported to be compatible with versions 2.7 later on. But remember, there are major changes in compared to Python 2 and Python 3.0. Right now we are doing Python 3. Right now when it comes to Python 3, we have already discussed that this is high level language which is interpreted, which is interactive, and which supports for object oriented programming. Therefore, interpreted means Python is processed at runtime by the interpreter. Therefore, you don't have to compile your program before executing, because it does not use a compiler. It has a Python interpreter. Then Python interpreter interpret line by line. And it is interactive. Right? Python interpreter is interactive. That's what I said previously as well. Like when you open the Python interpreter by typing py in the console, you'll be able to invoke the Python interpreter. Even if you type something, it will give you the answers as well. Like for an example, 2 plus 3 will give you as 5. Right now, therefore, it is interactive. Therefore, you can interact directly with the Python interpreter. And Python interpreter, Python is object-oriented. Python is object-oriented because it supports for object-oriented concepts. Therefore, if you have no clue what is object-oriented concepts, just ignore it for the time being. And very importantly, Python is a beginner's language because Python is a great language for beginners to start because it's very easy to understand. And from this language, you could do simple to complex things as well. Right nowadays, like most of you are talking about big data, data sciences, and animations, machine learning, AI. Yes, all the things you can done using this Python language. Right. And the characteristics of a Python. Right now, this supports for structured programming methods as well as object-oriented programming. Right now, this is a scripting language. Right, therefore, this is a scripting language. And this is supporting high-level dynamic data types. And this supports for automatic garbage collection. Then some of you might think, what is the garbage collection? Yes, the garbage collection means if there are null reference objects available in the memory, right now, those will get removed. Right now, in the previously, right now, I'm talking about at the very beginning, there was no automatic garbage collectors. Therefore, from the memory, if you assign some memory to some objects, some references, and those would be available as reserved until that means those will clear. Therefore, if you are not clearing it, those would be assigned to that whatever the assigned variable or reference. Therefore, that memory won't get released. But now the automatic garbage collector means that is a one part of the process of the memory management, and automatically garbage collector runs. That means garbage collector is responsible for reclaim or release the memory occupied by objects. If the objects are no longer used, in order to release that memory which is reserved by the objects which are no longer used will be released or reclaimed by the garbage collector. Therefore, that will preventing memory leaking, or it will enhance the optimize the memory usage, memory resources. Right. Therefore, right now, remember the automatic garbage collection. Now you don't have to worry about releasing the references or the objects, because when there are objects assigned or reserved in the memory, and then if you have no longer using it, then Python garbage collector will automatically clear those. Right. Therefore, in order to clear the null reference objects, Python garbage collector use reference counting. There's something called reference counting or cycle detection. Likewise, there are many things. We don't have to talk at this moment. We'll talk later. Right. Therefore, remember garbage collector, what it does is automatically, as a part of a memory management tool, it reclaim the memory reserved for objects which are no longer active, which are no longer used. That's how the automatic garbage collector works. Right. And it can be easily integrated with C, C++, yes, like some other programming languages as well. Yes, the Python codes can be used with other programming languages, and it can be easily integrated. That's why in most of the AI tools and machine learning, it uses Python with some other programming languages as well. Right. And then when you're talking about Python, right now, these are the key things that you may talk. Because right here, it's easy to learn because it has very few keywords and very basic structure and clearly defined syntaxes. Therefore, anyone can easily pick up the language quickly. That's why we call this as the beginner's language. And easy to read because very similar to English language. And therefore, you can easily look at and you can read it. Even the non-technical users, easy to read it. And and it's easy to maintain. And it has a broad set of libraries, and it is interactive, and it is portable. That means Python can run on a wide variety of hardware platforms, and which can be extendable, and it supports for databases, and even Python can be used with graphical user interface based applications, right? With the Windows, that means you can see with the graphical user interfaces, and it is scalable, right? And this is how we install the environment. We have already discussed that. And then the type of translators we have discussed, by interpreters and the compilers. Python is an interpreted language. Therefore, Python uses interpreters. That means each time the program is run, the interpreter translates the program line by line, statement by statement. Therefore, if there is any translation errors during the process of interpreting the program will stop execution right when the error is encountered. Therefore, until the error is encountered, the program will run. Therefore, even the code has some errors, you will be able to partially execute. and it supports for multiple platforms. And compilers translate the entire program at once, and therefore it has to be perfect, error-free before you compile, because it compiles all at once. Therefore, it will check whether is there any compiler time or the syntax errors. If there is any errors, the errors will detect it, and then you have to, in order to compile, you have to correct the errors. Therefore, the code has to be perfect before you compile it. Therefore, if there is any translation errors during the compilation process, no machine language or no executable will be generated. Because if there is any error halfway through it has detected, then it will stop the process. Therefore, no machine language executable will be produced. Then if there is no translation errors, that means if there is no errors and if the code is perfect, then it will generate the executable file. It will generate an executable file, which is a machine language program which can be executed. And the advantages are, which is faster and it translates once. But if it is an interpreter, every time you run, the program gets converted line by line or interpreted line by line or statement by statement. Right. Okay, in order to print hello world, that's going to be the any program's first statement you're going to print. Now I want you to open the node. Okay, let's work with the Python interpreter. Right. Then in order to open the Python interpreter, I'll start from the beginning. Open the command prompt and type py, and that will open the Python interpreter. Now this is the Python interpreter. Now here, if you want to print something, you need to type print. Inside the brackets, you need to pass whatever you want to print as a string value, whatever you want to pass, or whatever you want to print as a string. Since in order to mention it as a string, we use double quotes. And I'm going to say hello world and press enter. After typing, press enter. Then it would display the output as well, because this is what you call as Python is interactive, because it is allowed you to interact with the interpreter promptly. Right now, this is how you use it with the Python interpreter using command prompt. The same thing now we could achieve by saving it to a notepad file as well. Right now, what I want to do is open a notepad file, and let's type this print hello world, simple print inside the double quotes, hello world, and close the double quotes. Right now, type print hello world, the same thing which we have typed here. Right now, this is the script we're gonna write in a notepad file. And once you complete this, okay, I'll give you 1 minute for you to complete. Right now, we have to save it as a Python file. Now remember that if you want to save it as a Python file, now this is a notepad. Now default this will save it as a text file. We don't want to save it as a text file, right? Therefore, click on File, Then select Save As. Click on File, File, Save As. Click Save As. And then once it opens right now, let me save it in desktop. Okay, let's say in my desktop, I'm going to create folder called EX. And right now, okay, I have a folder called EX in my desktop, and I want to save this as my code. Therefore, right now we can type code.py. The extension for a Python file is py. Extension for a Python file is py. But if you just save it as it is, code.py, and if you save it, it will be saved as text file because it clearly says that save as type text. If you are doing it, now there are two ways of doing this. Remember, if you want, you can type code.py, and here you can select all files. Save as type, you can select it as all files. Then this would be saved as a py. Right? If not, once you type this, if you want to click save as, then you can, it doesn't matter what you have here as save as that, inside the double quotes, type code.py. Inside the double quotes and press enter. If you put the double quotes, you don't have to select this as all files. If you are not putting the double quotes, you have to select this as all files. It's up to you. I think I have saved it in the desktop itself. Yes, I have saved it inside the desktop itself. Therefore, I'm going to move into the EX folder. Right now, this is in the EX folder. Right. Okay, then right now this is my Python file. Now I have written this Python file. Now I want to run this. Okay, let's exit from the interpreter by pressing Ctrl Z, or by typing exit, you can exit. Right now I need to get into when you open the command prompt normally, it would be from like whatever the username, it will be displaying the username like this. Whenever you open, it will be C users, whatever the username you have logged in. Right now, if you make a folder on your desktop, you will see it's inside C users G1 desktop EX. Right, then here you have to get into the location of the folder you have saved. Either you can take a copy of this location and type CD is for change directory and paste the location and press enter. That would take you. Okay, try out. Right. Then once you get into this location right now, normally I used to get it right now. Here, this is how we get it normally. Right now, I would type CD, and then I want to get into the desktop. Now the desktop, the name start from D, right? And type the tab key after typing D, and it will take you to all the available files like this. See, so you just need to type D and press the tab key. Then you'll be able to get the desktop, and then thereafter, you know the folder name is E. Then you can By pressing the tab key, you can get the rest. Press enter. You'll be able to get into the location where you have saved. And if you are doing it for the first time and if you are not familiar with the command prompt, don't worry. Just open the command prompt and open the folder you created on the desktop. Click on the address bar, take a copy of the path, come here, type cd, keep a space and paste it and press the enter. Now you will see the prompt will change to the ex folder, right? Now that's how you do it, right? Then we are inside the ex folder right now. That is where we have this code.py file. That is the code file is stored inside the ex folder. Now let's interpret it by feeding that into the Python interpreter, typing py space code.py. Now that would give you the same answer. Now this is how you execute the code written in a notepad or in a Python file using Python interpreter. Now this is how you do it. Okay, try out quickly. And any questions, please ask. Any questions, please ask. Okay, if you're stuck on anywhere, if you get any errors, please ask. Right. Okay, now what I want you to do is, all right, now can one of you share the screen, please? Can one of you share the screen, please? And thereafter,